Can you 100% Xpand Rally with no repairs? This is something I've been thinking about for a very long time. I really wanted to know the answer to this question, so that's why I've decided to do this challenge. I was going to do this challenge 3 years ago, but I couldn't do it because I was too busy with making analysis videos. But now, after those 3 years, I finally have enough time to do this challenge. So that's why I'm doing it. You know what I'm about to say, so say it with me. In this video, we are going to be answering the question, can you 100% expand Rally with no repairs? In case you care, here are the rules. Rule number 1, the obvious one, you cannot repair your car. Self-explanatory. Rule number 2. Cheats are not allowed. Rule number 3. Glitches, exploits, and speedrunning tricks are allowed, although not necessarily mandatory. Speedrunning tricks are self-explanatory, but what about the glitches and exploits? Well, I'll talk about them later in the video. Rule number 4. Upgrades are allowed. Rule number 5. You can change the car settings if you want to, but you don't have to. Rule number 6. Replaying already completed stages for extra money is allowed, although not mandatory. I was actually thinking about removing this rule altogether, but I decided to keep it. Why? Well, more on that later. Rule number 7, the final rule. I'm doing this run with sim handling. This makes things much harder and much more exciting. Ladies, gentlemen, and pros, it's time. First things first, the starter car. I've decided to go with the Italic for many reasons. But what are the reasons? Don't worry, I will explain everything on the way. For now, I'm going to explain how I've completed each and every stage. The first stage is very straightforward and not complicated at all. Just listen to your co-driver and you will complete the stage very easily. There are many shortcuts you can take, but you don't have to take them. The Italic is strong enough for those stages, at least in the beginning of the game. When your opponent overtakes you, do not panic. You can easily overtake them, even with the weak Italic. And of course, don't crash into anything. If you know how to control your car, you will be able to finish the stage without crashing into anything. AKA, you can complete the first stage with no repairs. Stage 2 is just as straightforward as stage 1, at least in the beginning of the stage. This stage has one trap, and this trap is actually somewhat close to the beginning of the stage. When you start going down the canyon, you will encounter a ramp. Whatever you do, do not take this ramp. If you do take the ramp, you will receive a lot of damage. Just avoid the ramp by driving right beside it. Once you get past the ramp, the stage becomes easy again, simply because your opponent makes a lot of mistakes. Just stay on the road, listen to your co-driver, take shortcuts if you need to, and don't damage your car. If you've done everything correctly, you'll finish the stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 3 has the first difficulty curve. However, the difficulty curve is very small. The game already expects you to buy upgrades. If you're playing the game for the first time, I strongly suggest buying upgrades. Without them, you might have a hard time with this stage, and every other stage too. However, if you're an experienced racer just like me, you can complete this stage without upgrades. Just keep in mind that it will be harder without upgrades. Well, obviously, right? I've decided to do this stage without upgrades, and this is the part where I should explain my plan. The plan is simple. Complete the beginning of the game without spending money on upgrades. Why? Because at the beginning of the game, you need all the money you can get. Your car will eventually break down, and you will have to sell your car. And then you will have to buy a new car. Which one? It doesn't matter, because I didn't make a rule that you can't buy the same car, so if you want to save money, you can buy the same car. Now that I've explained the basics of the plan, yes, I didn't explain everything, don't worry, I will explain everything soon. We can finally get back to the analysis of the stage. The ramp from stage 2 makes a return. Just avoid it by driving beside it. If you're not using upgrades, avoid the water at the bottom of the canyon. You will slow down if you stay in that water for too long. Your opponent in this stage makes less mistakes compared to the opponents from stages 1 and 2. Don't worry, your opponent still makes mistakes in this stage, just a lot less, so be careful. There are several uphill sections in this stage, and if you're not using upgrades, slowdown is unavoidable. Now it's time for the most useful advice for this stage. Take shortcuts. Yeah, I know, it's nothing groundbreaking or anything, but trust me, shortcuts will save you in this stage. I mean it. The most useful shortcut is right here, right at the end of the stage. Take it and you will most likely win. Well, depending on how well you did in the previous sections of the stage. If you've done everything correctly, you'll be able to finish the stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 4, the first special stage and one of the longest stages in the game. Just like last time, if this is your first time playing this game, buy upgrades. You might have a hard time without them. But at the same time, again, if you're experienced with the game like I am, you can complete this stage without upgrades. You just have to take a lot of shortcuts. The track layout for this stage pushes the map to its limits. Thankfully, this track gives you a lot of shortcuts. I will show the most useful ones in just a moment. But first, I have to talk about some gameplay stuff. Have you noticed anything yellow on the HUD by any chance? Yep, that's the tire wear. Spoiler alert, the tire wear will get me. Couple times actually. For me, the tire icon turned yellow in stage 2. Yes, stage 2. And it will also change the color in this stage as well. Just a heads up. The tire wear also counts as tire damage in this game. You can damage your tires just by driving. I'm not kidding. Time for the shortcuts. The first one is right here. Once you pass the checkpoint, you can pass the pole from the right side. I passed it from the left side because my reaction time wasn't good enough this time. This right here is a 3-in-1 shortcut. I didn't use it because I wanted to show that it is possible to complete this stage without using them. But basically just cut through the tapes every time there's a sharp turn like this one. Instead of doing what I did, just go through the tape and shortcut right and use this shortcut. Right here, another one I've missed. Just cut through the tape. Just ignore the road, go through the tape, and that's the shortcut. It may not sound like much, but it actually does save you some time, believe it or not. In case you didn't understand my gibberish, instead of actually doing those sharp turns, just go straight through the tapes to avoid those sharp turns. I hope that explains it better. Another one right here. Don't go all the way down just like I did. Start turning right early and then you will save yourself 2 seconds. Just like in stage 3, avoid the water at the bottom of the canyon. If you decide to go through the water, you will slow down and your opponent will overtake you. Sadly, this part right here doesn't have any shortcuts you can use, so the same thing goes for this part right here. But this part has 2 shortcuts, but I just didn't use them. Just ignore those sharp turns and go through the tapes. Oh, by the way, you have to take those shortcuts while avoiding damage. If you've done everything correctly, you will be able to finish the stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 5, the first Polish stage. This stage gives the player another difficulty curve. That's 2 difficulty curves already. And this difficulty curve is much worse than the first one. However, it can be minimized with upgrades. You may not be able to see it, but I'm still not using upgrades, because like I've said before, I need to get money. I have to say, this stage is somewhat difficult without upgrades, but still doable. If this is your first time playing this game, please buy upgrades for this stage. New tires should be enough, but if you still can't complete the stage with new and better tires, buy other upgrades as well. With that being said, I should probably explain what's up with the difficulty curve here. 3 things. 1. You're still stuck with the starter car, unless you actually go back to previous stages and replay them and win them over and over again just so you can get enough money for a better car. And no, you can't get a different car at this point in the game without grinding for money. This is a problem because your opponents are using cars from the P2 class and you're still stuck with the starter car. 2. The surface. Previous stages were on off-road tracks, but in this stage you're racing on asphalt. Luckily, you can, big quotations here, fix the issue by buying better tires, but like I've said before, I didn't buy better tires. I'm doing this without upgrades, so that's why this is an issue. And 3. Shortcuts are not very useful here. If you have upgrades, you can make few nasty turns and you won't lose time. But if you don't have upgrades, if you try to do those same nasty turns or the same nasty shortcuts, you will lose time and your opponent will overtake you, and there's no coming back from that. So how did I complete this stage without upgrades then? I mean, you're watching me do it right now. If you don't have upgrades, don't make mistakes, don't crash into anything, keep your eyes on the road, and of course go fast. So in other words, do a flawless run. It's not all bad though, your opponents still make mistakes. So use that to your advantage. If you've done everything correctly, you'll finish the stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 6, the second Polish stage. This stage is also difficult without upgrades because your opponents are using upgrades on a higher tier car. So if you're not using upgrades, you have to rely on the shortcuts. Here are the most useful ones. The first shortcut is right here. Just ignore the turns and stage boundaries. But be careful, after you use this shortcut, whatever you do, don't stay on the right side of the road. There is an obstacle that can damage your car. The second shortcut can be found in this little forest. Just ignore those two turns and go straight. I didn't use the shortcut because I didn't feel like it. This third shortcut is the most useful one. Say it with me, ignore the turns and ignore the level boundaries. Just go straight. Fourth shortcut, ignore this hard left and just cut straight through it. And now the final shortcut. Just do what I'm doing, but be careful. You might lose control there and you might lose a lot of time. So yeah, be careful. So basically just do what I'm doing and you'll be able to finish this stage without taking damage, except for the tire wear of course, and with no repairs. Alright, time for the next stage. Uh-oh, looks like the tire wear got me. Time to buy a new car. I wanted to get a higher tier car, so that's why I had to sell my Italic. I was sad because I liked the Italic, so I went for a different Italic. Now that I've picked a different Italic, I owe you an explanation. Why this car and why not any other car from the P2 class? Two reasons. One, the combination of low weight, good acceleration, and good top speed. This Italic checks all of those boxes. The Tiny Hooper is very similar to Italic, but it has bad top speed. The Lion weighs less than this Italic, however it struggles with uphill sections, and the center court weighs a lot and has poor acceleration. As for the second reason, well, have you heard about that one Austrian Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 speedrunner that says the Golf is better? Yeah, how about the Italic is better? Yeah. Anyway, stage 7. Back to USA, Arizona. As you can see, with a higher tier car, this stage is kinda easy. However, your opponents can still catch up because I don't know if you've noticed, but I didn't buy upgrades, so time for the shortcuts. The first shortcut is right here. Just do what I'm doing and you'll buy yourself a lot of time. Just keep in mind that your opponent can still catch up to you. Remember this ramp from stages 2 and 3? Yeah, avoid it. Remember this part as well? Yeah, avoid the water. Once you pass this checkpoint right here, you can make a nasty cut to the left. I didn't use it because I didn't feel like it. Remember the part where I quickly mentioned the uphill sections? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. As you can see, I didn't crash into anything and I didn't take damage. So basically, I've completed another stage with no repairs. Stage 8. Just another USA Arizona stage. You do have to deal with tough competition though. So you know what that means. time for shortcuts. Here you can cut as many times as you want, except I didn't do it here because I wanted to show off my driving skills. If you do decide to use shortcuts, just make sure you use them before hitting the checkpoint. The AI opponents lose control here, use that to your advantage. The competition can easily catch up to you here, so be careful. But don't worry, because even your worst competitor here doesn't know how to deal with this turn, so use that to your advantage. All of your opponents crash into those rocks. You know what I'm about to say here, right? Use that to your advantage. Let's take one more nasty cut here and finish the stage with no repairs. Good news everyone, I've won a new car. Time to upgrade it. I got myself some higher tier tires and then I got myself some pretty cheap performance upgrades. And those were my first two upgrades. It's not a lot, but it will do for now. Stage 9, the first duel. Here we get to see another difficulty curve. And this one comes in the form of the boss himself. Do you know what's the difference between your regular opponent and the boss? Regular opponent makes mistakes, but the boss doesn't. You have to be a pro if you want to win the duels in this game. I'm serious, the bosses in this game don't play around. So how do you win those duels? Don't crash into anything, memorize the track, use every shortcut you can, and drive really fast. Not to mention, you also need upgrades. The bosses in this game are very difficult to defeat without upgrades. What can I say? Just don't be bad, lol. Also, did you notice something strange about this track? This is stage 9 and the track we're racing on is... well, it's literally stage 1 but harder. When I covered stage 1, I said that you don't need to use shortcuts to win. But here, you actually have to use shortcuts to win. So do what I'm doing and use the shortcuts. Just remember to avoid obstacles while you're taking them. As you can see, I got pretty lucky and I've managed to win the duel without taking damage and with no repairs. I've also managed to win the boss car, but I've decided to not use it. Why? Well, I'll tell you later. Stage 10, the first rainy stage. This stage is supposed to be harder than the previous one, but the funny thing is, it's actually easier than the boss. Mainly because I still have the upgrades and I can use them to my advantage, but also because you can cut anywhere in this stage. But even then you should still be careful because I still managed to get my first crash. I crashed into this pole, I took damage and then I triggered the edge bug right by the tree. Wait, the edge bug? What's that? So what happened here was I was actually supposed to take damage here, but I hit the tree in a very specific way with the edge of my car, or with the edge of the hitbox at least. Because of that, the game thought that I actually avoided the crash. Good for me, and good for the run as well, because now it's time for some nasty shortcuts. Here's the first one. You can save yourself 4 seconds with this shortcut. Once you pass this checkpoint, you can avoid a bunch of sharp turns by driving right beside the road here. Then pass this checkpoint and then use this nasty cut here. Once you do that, you get to use this shortcut right here. And then this one right here, although it's not all that useful to be honest. But don't worry, because this shortcut is actually useful and can save you a lot of time. Those were the most useful ones. There are still more shortcuts you can use at this point, but I just didn't want to use them, to be honest. Yes, I've crashed and I took some damage, but the game still let me continue. So yeah, you can complete this stage with no repairs. Stage 11, the second rainy stage. I've gotta say, I really don't like this stage, simply because of how long it is. This stage takes nearly 6 minutes to complete, even with upgrades. And also because this stage introduces some janky hitboxes. As you've probably noticed right now, I've hit those barricades. Sometimes when you hit those barricades, you just take damage for no reason, so be careful. Oh yeah, I also broke the don't drive into the water rule. But hey, I have upgrades, so yeah. Nasty trap incoming. Whatever you do, don't cut through those tapes here. The game will send you back. Somehow I got very lucky and the game didn't send me back, so it is possible to take this shortcut, but the game is very picky about this shortcut. So yeah, don't use this shortcut, the game will send you back. Thankfully, the game isn't picky about this next shortcut. This one right here. The game is also not picky about this one as well. You can also try to use a couple of shortcuts right here, very close to the end of the stage. I didn't use them because I just didn't want to use them for some reason. Because I got lucky in the beginning, I managed to win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 12, the third rainy stage. We're back in Poland. You know what that means? Time for shortcuts. I've used one right here and I've saved myself a lot of time because of that. Then I've used this one right here and, like I've said before, I saved myself a lot of time because of that. After I took those two shortcuts, I've actually decided to not use other shortcuts because I wanted to rely on my driving skills. For some reason, I mean, I could have just used more shortcuts, but I just chose not to. I did make a mistake, however. I didn't use my brakes at the right time, so I've lost a lot of time in this section. After that, I was actually considering using shortcuts again, but then I realized that I actually don't need to. My car is good enough and my driving skills were superb. I actually managed to avoid all other obstacles for the rest of the stage. So I managed to win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Okay, time for the next champ. Oh yeah, the tire wear got me. Well, time to buy a new car. I actually didn't have enough money at first, so I've decided to sell the RV Wolf and the Italic to get enough money for a new car. Here I was speedrunning the stats comparison, and the speedrun was successful because I bought the Italic. I also bought some upgrades. This time I bought better tires, again, and some other cheap upgrades because I actually didn't have a lot of money. While we are still here, I should probably explain why I bought this specific Italic. Two reasons. One, the weight advantage, and two, the Italic is better. Alright, we're done with the car upgrades. Now it's time for the next championship. Stage 13, the first stage set in Kenya. In this game, Kenya and USA Arizona share the same design philosophies, same surface type, same elevation changes, and even the same vibe. And yet, Kenya still stands out because of two things. One, there are no canyons in Kenya, so no more "don't drive into the water" thing. And two, this map introduces a new obstacle: rocks. The rocks won't total your car, but they do deal a lot of damage when you drive into them. And I mean a lot of damage. A lot more compared to other props and physics objects. Too long didn't read. Kenya is USA Arizona but harder. This stage also gives you, the player, another difficulty curve. Better opponents. This here is the N3 Trial Championship. Your opponents make less mistakes and they use the cars from the O1 tier. However, this difficulty curve can be minimized if you use a car from the O2 tier. And that's what I did. If you didn't notice, I'm using a car from the O2 tier, so I'm actually overpowered right now. For now, at least. That's cool and all, but what about the track itself? Well, there are many shortcuts you can take, actually. There are some shortcuts that you can take without any problems, but there are also some shortcuts where you have to avoid the rocks. So all I can say is stay alert and you will be able to finish this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 14, the second stage set in Kenya. This stage is full of shortcuts, however half of them are booby-trapped. If you're using a car from the O2 tier, you don't need the shortcuts though. But if you're using a car from the O1 tier, you need to use the shortcuts if you want to win every single time. And also upgrades, especially better tires. Since I'm using the Italic from the O2 tier, I didn't use many shortcuts. But I did use some of them, so I guess I'll just show them to you. Before I show them though, I would like to give you a friendly tip. Those rocks I was talking about in the previous stage are usually placed on each side of the road, and sometimes around the corners, but not this one though. Yes, that was the first shortcut. This very small cut here is very safe, you should definitely take it. There's a shortcut right after this checkpoint, but I didn't take it correctly though. And here's another shortcut that I didn't take correctly, although I did save myself some time by using it. It may not look like it, but there are a lot of shortcuts in this area. But where are they? Well, just experiment with them, to be honest. Trial and error style. Do everything correctly and you will finish the stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 15. We're back in Poland. These stages are becoming more and more tight and more technical. You can see it right here. This stage is actually kinda unique because of the first 3 checkpoints. You start the race on asphalt and for the first time ever you need to use the racing line to your advantage. Use the racing line incorrectly and your opponent will overtake you. Also, you can't use the shortcuts for the first 3 checkpoints. If you use them, the game will send you back, so don't even try to use them. Thankfully, the stage becomes easier after you pass those first 3 checkpoints. And I've gotta say, the beginning of the stage is actually kind of difficult, even if you use a car from the O2 tier. And with that, we're done with the most interesting part of the stage. Time for the most boring part of the stage. Everything else. Oh yeah, I also used two shortcuts. I've used this shortcut right here. Why? Because I wanted to. There are a lot of shortcuts before and after this checkpoint right here that I didn't use because I felt confident in myself. By the way, if you're using a weaker car, you should definitely buy upgrades. This final corner can be tricky. If you don't take it perfectly, you will crash into stuff. But I didn't crash into anything. And because of that, I was able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 16, still in Poland. I've had a bad start because I didn't get that perfect launch, if you know what I mean. Despite this, I was able to overtake my opponent and stay in first place without taking shortcuts. This failed perfect launch was basically the game telling me that I should buy more upgrades, but I didn't want to. Actually, I didn't need to because this stage is full of useful shortcuts. But then again, I'm using a car from the O2 tier. If you're using a car from the O1 tier, you should definitely buy upgrades. Or just buy more upgrades if you feel like you didn't buy enough upgrades. Or you can just save money by not buying upgrades and using shortcuts all the time. Oh yeah, the shortcuts. The first very useful shortcut is coming right up. Right here actually. You see that? I saved myself so much time there. You see this checkpoint right here? Drive through it and then use this nasty cut right here. Tricky cut coming right up. The game wants you to do a U-turn here, but if you drive through this tiny pole, you can cut through it and save yourself some time, or buy yourself some time, or whatever. There's one more shortcut very close to the end of the stage, right here. Just use it and you're all good. However, keep in mind that you will slow down when you use it. Take a look at the speedometer. Did you notice anything? That's right. The tire icon changed color. You know what that means? It means absolutely nothing because I'm going to... Oh yeah, the tire wear got me. Well, time for a new car. I was forced to sell my Italic to get the car I want. So, which car am I buying this time, huh? Let's take a look. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it the Italic again? Is it the Flamenco? No, it's the Lion. But why the Lion? Well, I've wanted to avenge the RV Wolf that I've lost. If you didn't notice it already, this car and RV Wolf from the O1 tier have the same livery. Oh yeah, as you can see, I also bought some upgrades. Better tires and these parts right here. Alright, we're done with the upgrades for now. Time for the next stage. Stage 17. Looks like we're visiting Kenya again. We're off to a very fast and straightforward start. This first section is basically just a long straight with some small turns here and there. And yes, you can ignore that final turn and also use this very small cut to your advantage. Sadly, the fast and straightforward part of the stage is now over. Now it's time for the technical part of the track. Stage 17, just like stages 13 and 14, has a lot of shortcuts you can use. But you know me, I only used like 2 shortcuts throughout the entire stage. Because of that, I can't just show you how I used all of those amazing shortcuts. So instead, I'll just show you the general area where you'll find most of the shortcuts. Ready for this? Just look around you. Yep, this area right here has a lot of shortcuts. It may not look like it, but it does have a lot of shortcuts you can use. What I'm trying to say is, just experiment, trial and error style. But what about the two shortcuts I did use? Well, pass this checkpoint and use this shortcut. This time I used it correctly. The second shortcut I've used is right at the end of the stage. Just do what I'm doing and finish the stage. You can take the shortcut a little better though. I didn't take damage, so I finished the stage with no repairs. Time for more upgrades. This time I got myself different tires, and I also bought some cheap performance upgrades because, as you can see, I didn't have a lot of money after I bought those different tires. But why am I upgrading this car again? Well, you'll find out in just a moment. Stage 18, aka Stage 5 but harder. I know what you're thinking. Another difficulty curve, right? I mean, we didn't get to see a new difficulty curve for a while. Well, actually, no, that's not it. Your opponents are still using cars from the O1 tier. You are still racing on tracks with a lot of shortcuts, and if you have a lot of money, you get access to good upgrades. So what's up with this stage? Why is it harder? Is it the weather? Well, I mean, it is a rainy stage, and the weather does affect the handling, and it does make the stage harder, but that's still not it. You're probably not gonna believe me when I say it, but your opponents still don't know how to drive. They still make mistakes. Okay, that's cool, but what is it, you ask? What you're seeing right now is the high risk, high reward stage. The game has a couple of those stages, but this is the first one. These stages give you more money for completing them for winning them compared to previous stages. And these stages also have some kind of gimmick that makes them harder compared to the regular stages. In this case, well, you have a higher chance to crash your car. Sadly, this is something that I cannot explain. You have to play the stage yourself to figure out what I mean. As for the track itself, well, it's stage 5 but harder. So everything I've said in stage 5 also applies here. Except for one thing, one small thing. In this stage, you get to use better upgrades. Remember when I covered stage 5? I didn't want to use upgrades when I was playing that stage, so I couldn't use any shortcuts, otherwise I would fail. But this time you can use shortcuts. Only two shortcuts. I would show them, but I actually didn't use any shortcuts when I was playing this stage, so I guess you just have to figure them out yourself. Or at the very least, you have to figure out where they are yourself. Okay, fine, here are the timestamps for the shortcuts. Just keep in mind, I didn't use them, okay? I just went past them. As you can see, I didn't crash into anything, so this stage is possible without crashing into anything and with no repairs. After I finished the stage, I changed the tires and then I bought some more upgrades, because why not? Stage 19, the shortest stage in the game. This stage is so short that you don't even get a co-driver for it, because all you do in this stage is go straight forward. You're building up speed and then you lose. So I restarted the stage. Same thing here, you go straight forward and you're building up speed as fast as you can. There are no shortcuts in this stage because, let's be honest, you don't need them. Or maybe you do because you lose. Again. You know what they say, first time's a charm. I can't even use a different strategy here because all you do is go straight forward and you're building up speed as fast as you can. I know, I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it looks like I have to say the same thing over and over again because I lost again. What's going on? Why can't I complete this stage? You know what? Maybe I'm not using the right car for this stage. So I've decided to use the boss car for this stage. Keep in mind that I did upgrade the car, I just did it off camera for some reason. So yeah, as you can see, I lost. Again. Don't worry everybody, because now you're going to see the god of Xpand Rally in action. I mean, this boss car is an all-wheel drive kind of car. So surely I'm going to do it this time, right? Well, no. So I keep retrying the stage over and over again, and I still can't do it. But then it finally hit me like a brick covered in lemon juice. I've made a huge mistake. Do you remember when I sold the starter italic and I replaced it with the italic from the P2 tier? It turns out this decision actually hurt me in the long run. Why? Because I overpaid for the car. Yes, that's why I was constantly running out of money when I wanted to buy good upgrades for better cars. Here's the thing with stage 19. This stage can be completed in any car as long as you have good upgrades. But in order to get good upgrades, you need to have a lot of money. But I couldn't get good upgrades because I didn't have a lot of money. So now I'm thinking to myself, what do I do now? Well, I could replay previous stages, but that's actually not a good option because you're basically grinding for money, and there's also a risk of me accidentally destroying my car. Just because I've completed previous stages without taking damage doesn't mean I can do it again. So, what did I do? I've decided to skip stage 19 and jump straight into stage 20. Don't worry, we will go back to stage 19 when the time is right. Anyways, stage 20. The Chrome Evolution Championship awaits. This is one of those stages where we get to see yet another difficulty curve, better opponents. Again, during the N3 Trial Championship we were racing against the O1 tier, but now we are racing against the O2 tier. So now we are on an even playing field. In this stage, your opponents are using stock versions of those cars, and because of that, this stage isn't that difficult. I can't say the same about the other stages in this championship, but they can't use the shortcuts. Here's probably the most useful shortcut in this stage. You can save yourself a lot of time by using it. Now that I'm reviewing my own footage, I've noticed that I'm using shortcuts a lot more often than before. Although, as you can see, I've used some of them incorrectly. But that's okay because I still have my upgrades. Sure, I've changed the car a couple of times, but I still have the Lion. For now. Any pro tips for the Chrome Evolution Championship, you ask? Don't crash into anything, be aware of your surroundings, go fast, use shortcuts, and buy upgrades. Stage 19 really messed me up because I'm saying the same thing over and over again. And speaking of saying the same thing over and over again, I was able to complete this stage without crashing into anything, and because of that I was able to complete the stage with no repairs. Stage 21. I'm still skipping stage 19. Now your opponents are using upgraded cars from the O2 tier. Let's humiliate them by using shortcuts. There's a very useful shortcut right here in this forest. I was supposed to show this shortcut, I don't know, a long time ago, but I just couldn't show you it before because I just didn't feel like using it before. There's another useful shortcut right here. Just ignore those sharp turns and go straight. Time to use this behemoth of a shortcut. Just do what I'm doing and you'll save yourself a lot of time. Oh yeah, and watch out for this checkpoint right here. There's another shortcut you can use right here, although I used it incorrectly because I crashed into the asphalt somehow. Oh yeah, and I also skipped one shortcut, but that's not important. Do you remember this shortcut? I hope you do because I'm using it again. Quick reminder, after you use this shortcut, stay on the left side of the road, because on the right side of the road there's an obstacle that can damage you. As you can see, I was able to avoid it, but you should always remember that this obstacle is there. Here I was trying to use another shortcut, but I failed. Thankfully I didn't crash into anything. And since I didn't crash into anything throughout the entire stage, I was able to complete this stage with no repairs. Stage 22. I'm still avoiding stage 19. I've had a pretty bad start because I've made a mistake. Right here. I'm not going to say anything, just look at this. Yeah. I don't think I need to say anything here. Then I've focused on overtaking my opponent so hard that I've made another mistake. But here's something I didn't tell you. Your opponent is still making mistakes. Did you see that? I was about to overtake him, but I've made a small mistake. But hey, I still have shortcuts. The first shortcut is coming right up. Right here, right now. Now I'm in the lead. All I have to do now is to stay in the lead. So now I'm driving straight forward, gaining speed, and then I use more shortcuts because why not? But then I've made a really big mistake. I've crashed. Oh no! And then I've crashed into this rock right here. Oh no. What do I do now? I win the stage because I'm the god of Xpand Rally after all. But now I have to change the car because it's too damaged. Or is it? I present to you the first exploit of the run. Here's how it works. I've changed my tires in the main menu and so that I could enter the next stage. Before I started the next stage, I changed the tires back to the damaged tires so that I can still continue. I was able to save my money and I was still able to use the lion, all thanks to this exploit. But wait a minute, you ask. Why couldn't you use that exploit before? You know, when you still had the RV Wolf? I don't know. Okay, fine, I'll tell you. I wanted to make things more dramatic. Yes, I know it didn't make things dramatic at all, but Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Stage 23, aka Stage 10 but harder. It's harder because your opponents are using better cars and better upgrades for those cars. Since my car is already damaged, I'm going to use some risky shortcuts. This shortcut is not risky, but it's endlessly useful. I took it the wrong way, so I only gained 2 seconds. If I used it correctly, I would have gained like up to 4 seconds. I have also ignored those sharp turns here and I just went straight ahead. I have also used this shortcut right here. And I'm also going to use this one right here. I'm skipping this one on the right because it's not really useful. But I am going to use this one right here. And last but not least, I've used this shortcut right here. And then I finished the stage with no repairs. I have something really cool to show you. Are you ready? I have a new car. How did I get it? Well, I've won every stage in the Chrome Evolution Championship. I've also unlocked the best tires in the game. Of course I had to buy them. I also got myself expensive performance upgrades. I'm actually really happy because I really needed them. Then I got myself some other cheap upgrades because I thought they would be useful. Now we can finally go back to stage 19. And with this new car I can finally complete this stage without any problems. I mean, look at that car, it's a rocket! Too bad this stage doesn't give you a lot of money. I mean, seriously, 2000 euros? Stage 24, the second special stage. This special stage is quite unique for two reasons. 1. It uses paths you've never used before, and 2. Unique checkpoint placement. The checkpoints in this stage were designed to make shortcuts useless. Use a shortcut and you miss a checkpoint. But even that doesn't stop me from taking shortcuts. Yep, the developers really thought that they could stop me, the god of Xpand Rally. Some checkpoints are placed really badly because you can still use a shortcut and you'll still get a checkpoint. I mean, look at this. I'm still using every shortcut to my advantage, and I'm still getting the checkpoints. Yet somehow I still make mistakes. I've missed the checkpoint because I used the brake too late. As for the paths you've never used before, look at this tiny bridge. Look how small it is. You have to use a small car for this bridge, otherwise you just won't be able to use the bridge. That's why I'm using the italic for this stage, because as you all know, the italic is better. You probably can't see it very well because the stage is dark, but I'm actually using the best italic in the game, and also one of the fastest cars in the game. Keep in mind that I got this car for free because I've won every single stage in the Chrome Evolution Championship. Well, I did upgrade the car, but even if you don't upgrade this italic, it's still one of the fastest cars in the game. In my opinion, this car is overpowered. Do you know why I think that? Well, do you see those green split times on the left side of the screen? My opponent finished the stage over a full minute after me. Yep, that's how good this car is. As you can tell, I was able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 25, the third special stage. Here's one thing you should know about high tier cars in this game. They are very fast, but they are also hard to control. I actually spun out here because of that. But it doesn't matter that much because, well, my car is still overpowered and I bought good upgrades for this car. So overpowered in fact that I was actually trying to avoid shortcuts. I mean, look at this. Usually I cut through the tapes here, but this time I avoided those tapes because the car is just that good. I did, however, use one shortcut in this stage. This one right here. It was the only one I've used. Why? I just couldn't resist. Also, did you notice those split times? My opponents just can't keep up. I'm unstoppable, man. So unstoppable, in fact, that I was able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 26, the second duel. It's also stage 14 but harder. Of course, I've used my overpowered italic for this stage. Amazing acceleration and good handling. Would be a shame if I Oh no, I've crashed into a rock. How much time did I lose? 2 seconds? What am I going to do now? Oh, I know. Just use every single shortcut to my advantage, like this one for example. Just so I can crash into a set of rocks right there. If you're a first timer, listen to those tips. Don't crash into anything, stay on the road for as long as possible, use shortcuts and do it all very fast. Do all of those things correctly and you will be able to win the duel without taking damage and without repairs. Time for the moment of truth. Can I start the next... Okay, it turns out I can. Stage 27, the first Irish stage. Wait, Ireland? A new map? Let's talk about it. Ireland is a way more difficult map compared to the first 3 maps. For many reasons, of course. Firstly, every single obstacle from the previous map, Kenya, makes a return. And yes, that includes rocks. Obstacles from USA, Arizona and Poland also appear here, although not as often. On top of that, this map introduces a new obstacle, stone fences. Stone fences are scattered all around the track. They are also very easy to hit and deal a lot of damage. Yes, a lot more than the rocks. Slightly bump into the stone fence and your car is history. Unless you didn't damage your car, in which case you'll be able to survive one hit. But other than that, yeah, don't crash into those fences. Secondly, every track layout in Ireland uses the same design philosophy. 3 words: tight, narrow, technical. Let me explain. Those Irish tracks are tight because the game already assumes that you already know how to turn effectively. If you don't know how to turn effectively at this point in the game, well, you might as well say GG. The tracks in Ireland are much more narrow compared to the tracks on all previous maps. The cars barely fit on those tracks. Because of that, I strongly recommend using small cars for those stages, like the Italic for example. And thirdly, Ireland introduces a new surface type, mud. Mud is much more slippery compared to every previous surface type in the game. If you don't know how to drive, you will constantly spin out and lose control of your car. You can buy the anti-mud tires and the upgrade shop, but they're actually not all that useful. But why? 2 reasons. 1. Only 3 to 4% of the Ireland map is covered in mud. And 2. The anti-mud tires also make every other surface slippery. So if you put those two things together, you will realize that the anti-mud tires are not all that useful. That's why I'm not buying them at all. I'll talk about the technical aspect of Ireland in just a moment, but firstly, as you've all noticed by now, I bought a new car. I sold the Italic and I sold the Lion. Why? Well, because I can't use those cars anymore, they are too damaged, so I had to use a different car. I decided to use the center cord because why not? I also bought some really good upgrades for the car, so now I can complete most stages without any problems. Okay, so I'm supposed to talk about the technical aspect of the Ireland map, but can you see that? The center court barely fits on the track. Yeah, I just had to point that out. Anyway, the technical aspect of the Irish map, or the Ireland map, or whatever you want to call it. There are only 2 spots with straight lines which you can use to build up speed. The rest of the map is filled with sharp turns. Combine this with the obstacles, the mud, and also the tight and narrow track design, and that's how you get Ireland. A quite challenging and a somewhat difficult map. It becomes more difficult when it's raining and when you're driving at night. Speaking of raining, stage 28, the second Irish stage. It's more difficult than the previous stage simply because it's raining. And also because your opponents are using cars from the 03R1 tier, aka the same tier you're using right now. Or I guess the same tier I'm using right now. Whatever. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. This time you can't use a different car tier for those stages. At least for now. You'll look at those 03R1 tier cars in my clips for a long time. But don't worry everybody, because you can still look at all of those amazing shortcuts you can take in Ireland. Like this one for example. And that was the only shortcut I took here. I also didn't crash into anything, and because of that I was able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 29. Another unique Polish stage. Despite the fact that this stage is unique, I actually don't have anything interesting to say about it. The same thing goes for literally every single stage after this one. Okay, I should probably mention the elephant in the room. We have officially reached the turning point everybody, because now the no repairs challenge is no longer a challenge. Here's the thing, the biggest challenge in this challenge is money management. At the beginning of the game you didn't get a lot of money, so you couldn't spend money on upgrades and you couldn't buy new cars. You also couldn't fail because even then, even if you sold your car, you still wouldn't have enough money for a different car, or even for the same car in some cases. But now we're in the Green Mini Championship. This championship gives you a lot of money as long as you get first place every time. The same thing goes for literally every single championship after the Green Mini Championship. So basically, if you win every single time now, you will have enough money for good upgrades and good cars. You don't even have to worry about crashing your car anymore. Do you know why? Yep, you've guessed it. You get a lot of money now. Well, as long as you win every single time, of course. Now that I've mentioned the elephant in the room, I've decided that I will not be talking about every single thing in detail. From now on, I will only show you the most interesting parts of the run. I will be able to speed up the video by doing that. In fact, I'm going to speed up this video right now. As you can see, I didn't crash into anything, so yeah, I was able to finish this stage without taking any damage and with no repairs. Stage 30, aka stage 16 but harder. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I always break promises, right? So now I'm actually going to try my best and keep my promise. Now that I've said it, I was able to finish this stage without taking damage and without crashing into anything. So yes, this stage is possible without taking damage and with no repairs. Now it's time for the Islanders Cup Championship. This championship requires a tiny hooper, which I don't have. Here I was thinking about which tiny hooper I should choose. I was thinking about this one from the O2 tier, but then I realized that if I bought it, I wouldn't have money for upgrades. I was also thinking about this one from the P3 tier. This seemed like a better choice, but then I also took a quick peek at those other two and I've decided to go for the cheapest one. Why? Because then I have enough money for upgrades. Yep, I'm not taking this challenge seriously anymore. That's how easy this challenge is now. Stage 31, the first stage from the Islanders Cup Championship. I've gotta say, I've actually upgraded this tiny hooper correctly because I was able to keep up with my opponent and I was also able to go really fast. Sure, my opponent was quite tough, but I was able to do it. I was able to win. As for the championship itself, it's only 3 stages long and you're always racing in Ireland. It's always raining in those stages and the rain affects the handling. The rain basically makes the handling much more slippery and slidey. There were many times where I was getting out of control. Well, that's mostly because I was using the weakest tiny hooper in the game, but I also managed to win without any major problems. Well, I did buy a lot of upgrades, but still. I also didn't crash into anything throughout this entire stage, so I was able to win the race without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 32, the second stage in the Islanders Cup Championship. As you can see, this stage is not as dark as the previous stage, so obviously you can see more. Despite this, I still managed to crash into something. I crashed into this blockade right here. The opponent went past me and I had to catch up. As you can see, I also took damage. But wait a minute, you ask. How did you take damage? The blockades don't deal damage, right? You see, I took damage because of the momentum transfer. When I crashed into the blockade, I pushed the blockade into the stone fence. But the game thinks that I have actually crashed into the stone fence. That's why I took damage. Thankfully, the blockade that I've pushed into this stone fence absorbed the damage, so I only took a small portion of the damage I should have received. Other than that, nothing interesting happened. Yes, I've crashed, but the game still allowed me to continue. So if you don't make the same mistake as I did, you will be able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Okay, I lied. I tried to use this shortcut, but the game was like, no, 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 you can't do that, so the game sent me back. But even then, I was still able to win the race, without taking any more damage and with no repairs. Stage 33, the final stage in the Islanders Cup Championship. It's one of those stages where I don't have anything interesting to say. No, really. Sure, my opponent is faster than me, but he's faster than me only in the beginning of the stage. He actually makes mistakes. Not only that, I also use every single shortcut this stage gives me, like this one right here. I also didn't crash into anything throughout this entire stage. So yeah, this stage is possible to complete without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 34, the first freestyle stage. Yes, I'm still using the tiny hooper. No, I'm not taking the challenge seriously. To be honest, I don't have to take this challenge seriously because I'm gonna win. Sure, my opponent is faster than me in every single way, but I'm still gonna win. Watch. Okay, maybe not, because I actually can't keep up with my opponent. He is faster than me in every single way, so I've lost. So then I've decided to complete this stage in this poorly upgraded boss car. As you can see, my opponent is still faster than me in every single way. But then my opponent actually made a mistake and I was able to overtake him. And then I won the race, without taking damage and with no repairs. After that amazing victory, I've decided to buy a new RV Wolf, this time from the W1 R2 tier, and I also bought some upgrades for it. Why? You'll see. Stage 35, another one-off event. This stage is the reason why I bought that RV Wolf in the first place. Without it, I wouldn't be able to enter the stage. What can I say about the stage itself? Well, it's dark, you're in Kenya, and that's pretty much it. I did crash my car right here. My car is damaged, but it's nothing serious really. Yep, that was the only time I crashed in this level. Since I don't have anything interesting to say about the stage, I guess I'll just move on. So if you manage to avoid every rock in the stage, you'll be able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. After completing the stage, I've decided to go back to my center court and I decided to upgrade the car even more. I bought 2 separate winter tires and then I bought some more upgrades. But what are the winter tires for? I mean, it's pretty obvious, so I guess I'll just get straight to the point. Stage 36, the first Finnish stage. Wait, Finland? A new map? Let's talk about the map. Finland is the only snowy map in the game. Normally it's the hardest map to master in the game, but for this challenge, this map is actually easier than Ireland. But if you're a first timer, you will crash, like I did right here. Thankfully you can avoid those crashes, even as a first timer. All you have to do is to listen to what I have to say about the map. Firstly, as you can see, the map is covered in snow, but there are many parts of the map that aren't covered in snow. Like for example, this asphalt right here. It is more slippery compared to the asphalt in Poland, but it's still not covered in snow. The center of the map introduces a new surface type, ice, and it's exactly what you would expect. So basically, this map actually introduces three surface types: an icy asphalt, or the slippery asphalt, but I prefer to call it the icy asphalt, snow, and ice. It's no surprise that your car is going to behave differently on this map compared to any other map in the game. That's why I bought two separate winter tires for this map. But why two? Why not just one? Because one pair of tires is for the icy asphalt and the snowy part of the map, and the other pair of tires is for the icy part of the map. So yes, I will eventually change my tires. Secondly, the tracks in Finland are more tight, more narrow, and more technical compared to the tracks in Ireland. It may not look narrow, tight, and technical in my clips, but trust me, it is tight, narrow, and technical. It is also the most tight, the most narrow, and the most technical map in the game. Thirdly, there are no shortcuts on this map at all. If you think you can cheese every finish stage by using shortcuts, think again. There are small cuts you can use to your advantage, but that's it. But wait a minute, you ask. Those things make Finland harder than Ireland, not easier. Yes, you're right, but I said that Finland is easier than Ireland for this challenge, not for regular gameplay. Obviously, if you buy winter tires for your car and you also buy good upgrades for your car, Finland turns into a very easy map. Oh yeah, and if you want to win every single time, you also have to master the map, but I think that goes without saying, even though I just said it. And that's all I have to say about the map. Now let's get back on track. Stage 37, the second finish stage. In the previous stage, you were racing on icy asphalt, right? Well, in this stage, you're racing on both the icy asphalt and the snow. And other than that, I actually don't have anything interesting to say about this stage. I mean, I didn't even crash in this stage. I've crashed in the previous one, but not in this one. So yeah, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Before I get to the next stage, I have to change my tires. Trust me, I have to do it. Stage 38, my favorite track in the entire game. The reason why this is my favorite track in the entire game is because the track layout is so good. You can go really fast, you are racing on almost every surface type, and cornering on this track feels extremely satisfying. This track also contains a lot of straight lines and all kinds of turns. It's also beautiful to look at. Seriously, what's not to love? I love this track. So much in fact that I'm not even going to say anything about it. Because if I do say something about it, well, I will ruin the track for you. So I guess I'll just move on to the next stage. But before I move on, I'm actually going to give you this very useful professional tip. Listen to your co-driver. Yes, really. From now on, your co-driver is actually useful. He actually gives you useful tips. Use them to your advantage. If you get to this point, use your co-driver right until the end. I'm serious. Okay, now I can finally move on. I didn't crash into anything in this stage. So yes, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 39, the fourth finish stage. I actually don't have anything interesting to say about this stage other than the fact that now you get snowflakes falling from the sky. So I'll just give you general tips for the rest of the game. Don't crash into anything, stay cautious, use shortcuts if you can, listen to your co-driver and go fast. Do all of those things correctly and you'll be able to finish this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 40, the fifth finish stage. Just like the last time, go fast, listen to your co-driver, use shortcuts if you can, stay cautious and don't crash into anything. Do all of those things correctly and you'll be able to finish this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Oh, and as an added bonus, if you manage to win stages 36, 37, 38, 39 and 40, well, you'll get a new car. And this is the car you get, Lion 200. Of course I had to buy upgrades right after getting the car. As you can see, I bought some good tires, some expensive upgrades and then some cheap upgrades. Do you know what I did after buying all of those upgrades? I've completed stage 41, the second freestyle stage. In this stage, you're racing against a tough competitor, the Italic. As you all know, the Italic is better, but I could handle him, except for that one part where I crashed, and then he zoomed right past me, and then I had to catch up. Oh yeah, I also hit this thing. I don't even know what it is. I didn't take any damage when I hit it, I just spun out. I know what you're thinking. It's over. There's no way I can win now. Well, I have news for you because I actually did win, and you can see it right now. I did take damage, but the game still let me continue. So yeah, you can complete this stage without repairs. Stage 42, the third freestyle stage. This stage is actually easier than the previous one because it has less obstacles. Your opponents are worse than you in every single way because they are not using the Italic. I mean, can you imagine racing against a bunch of Italics? Anyway, I've crashed. Right here. I've also crashed into this fence right here. I honestly have no idea why I did that. I guess I just forgot about the existence of this fence. But it doesn't matter because I was still able to win. So yeah, I did take damage, but the game still let me continue, so yeah. If you're good enough, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 43, the fourth freestyle stage. Hey Patrick, you've crashed into something in this stage, didn't you? Well, actually no, I didn't crash into anything throughout this entire stage. So yes, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Friendly tip, don't use this decline as a ramp. Slow down and just slide off of it. If you use it as a ramp, you will jump, and when you jump, you will take a lot of damage when you hit the ground. Also, did you notice that mistake the opponent made just a second ago? Yeah, for some reason your opponent just keeps making mistakes on this stage. I have no idea why, but I'm not complaining. Easy win for me. Stage 44, the third duel. We're in Ireland and it's raining. What do you want me to say? Oh yeah, this duel is actually quite unique because it uses a track layout you've never raced on before. But guess what? It doesn't matter because you can just use shortcuts everywhere. Just don't cut too much, because if you do cut too much, the game will send you back. And you will lose a lot of time if the game sends you back. And you will hate yourself for it, believe me. Also, the boss in this stage puts up quite a challenge, so make sure you get good upgrades before you face him. Also, there's this thing called... There's this thing called what can I talk about here? I guess I crashed into this pole and I've lost my spoiler and then okay, fine, I don't know what to talk about here. You can complete this stage without taking damage if you're good enough and with no repairs. If you win in this stage, you also get a new car. And this new car is actually useful. But I'm not going to use it right now because, to be honest, this new car isn't actually needed for those next couple of stages. Stage 45. aka stage 24 but harder. This is the last one-off event where the game requires you to use the RV Wolf. And that's the only interesting thing I can say about this stage. I was able to use the same tricks I've used in stage 24 without any problems. So if you need tips and tricks for this stage, just go back to the part of the video where I covered stage 24. I didn't even crash into anything in this stage, so yes, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 46, aka stage 1 but harder. Even as a first timer, if you've played the game for at least 5 minutes, you already know what to do here. If you need tips and tricks for this stage, for some reason, go back to the part of the video where I covered the first stage. Alternatively, you can also go back to the part of the video where I covered stage 9, because I've used the same tricks there as well. I didn't crash into anything here, so yes, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Oh no, the tire wear destroyed my lion. What should I do? Oh yeah, I can still use the RV Wolf. Stage 47, aka stage 2 but harder. If you've played the game for at least 10 minutes, you already know what to do here. So yeah. If you need tips and tricks for this stage, for some reason, go back to the part of the video where I covered stage 2. The tips and tricks from stage 2 also work in this stage. Just like in the last stage, I didn't crash into anything, so yes, you can complete it without taking damage and with no repairs. Let's move on. Stage 48, aka stage 3 but harder. Guess what? If you've played the game for at least 15 minutes, you already know what to do here. If you still need tips and tricks for this stage, well, go back to the part where I covered stage 3. You can find very useful tips and tricks for this stage there. Now let me tell you something that you would expect from the god of Xpand Rally. I didn't crash into anything, so yes, you can complete this stage without crashing into anything and with no repairs. Let's move on. Alright, time for the next stage. Oh yeah, the tire wear got me. Well, I guess it's time for a different car. This time I've decided to sell two cars, the RV Wolf and the Lion 200. For my next car I've decided to use the boss car. Yes, the boss car. This car is actually useful. Well, as long as you upgrade it, of course. This time I went all out with the upgrades. I was able to upgrade almost everything. Almost. I did get a lot of money by selling the RV Wolf and the Lion 200, but even that wasn't enough to get every single upgrade. I did buy almost every expensive upgrade though, so that's something. Stage 49. We're back in Finland with a unique track layout. It's so unique that I don't have anything interesting to say about it. I mean, I guess it's original. Well, it is original because you've never raced on it before, but I really don't have anything interesting to say here. I mean it. You can't crash into anything, you have to stay cautious. You can't use shortcuts, you have to listen to your co-driver, and you have to go fast. There are bumps that damage your car, but you can easily avoid them, so... The only real interesting thing I can talk about here is the fact that your opponent makes mistakes, but not very often. Those mistakes your opponent makes do make the stage easier, so that's cool, I guess. I also didn't crash into anything, so yes, you can complete this stage without crashing into anything and with no repairs. Stage 50, aka stage 25 but harder. I've decided to use the center court here because I wanted to retire the car. Yes, I actually didn't care if I crashed, because I knew for a fact that I wouldn't use this car ever again. Oh, what? You don't believe me? Here, I'll prove it. There you go. I've crashed into those rocks. And that's all I can say here. No, really. If you need tips, go back to the part of the video where I covered stage 25. TLDR, don't goof around and you'll be able to complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Unsurprisingly, the center court is no longer useful, so I sold it. I actually didn't buy anything else here, so let's move on. Stage 51, aka stage 4 but harder. Yes, I'm using the weakest tiny hooper for this, even though I shouldn't. Why am I using it? Because I'm gonna win. Watch. Okay, fine, I didn't win. I mean, look at those split times. After that devastating loss, I've decided to buy a new car. I decided to go with the Monsoon 2000 Evolution, but I didn't actually use it here, even though I've upgraded it. Why? I'll tell you later. So I've retried this stage with this poorly upgraded boss car. This time I'm gonna win, for sure. Watch. Maybe I should stop saying that. I've lost. Is it really that surprising? I'm gonna take this more seriously this time. I promise, okay? I promise. Okay, fine, I'm doing another stupid strategy. I'm using this boss car with the worst tires in the game. The stock tires. Yeah, I know it sounds stupid because my car is extremely slippery, but do you remember the part where I've upgraded almost everything in this boss car? I'm using those upgrades to my advantage. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen me just pass this car right now. Sure, my opponent is trying his hardest, but I'm still faster than my opponent, even though I'm using stock tires. Also, I don't know if I've told you this, but this car is almost fully upgraded, so yeah, I'm using this to my advantage. Even stock tires can't stop me. And would you look at that, I actually did it, without taking damage and with no repairs. First try, except for the fact that that was my third try overall, but you get the idea. I've used the money I got from that special stage to upgrade that other monsoon, the one that I bought. Yes, I'm actually going to use it now. Stage 52, the longest stage in the game. It is also the only stage in the game that has 5 laps. In fact, it's the only stage in the game where you have to go through more than 1 lap. Surprisingly enough, I actually don't have anything interesting to say here, other than the fact that I've crashed into this rock. And other than the fact that I've outlapped my opponent, right here. The only bad thing about this stage is the fact that the tire wear is ridiculous in this stage. You can complete it without taking damage and with no repairs, but once you complete it, you won't be able to use the car. At least not anymore. Stage 53, the 5th freestyle stage. It's also the first freestyle stage that takes place in Finland. I actually really like this stage because in order to win this, you have to be skilled. And you need good upgrades for your car. Other than that, I have no idea what to talk about here. I guess the opponents are tougher. What else? I guess if you're a first timer, you have to complete this stage by using the trial and error methods. What else? Okay, fine, I don't know what to say here. I guess you should know that I didn't crash into anything here, so yes, you can complete this stage without crashing into anything, without taking damage and with no repairs. For this next stage I'm using an exploit, the same one I've used in stage 23. Stage 54, the 6th freestyle stage. This stage is way more challenging than the previous one, simply because your opponent will do anything to make you lose. Because of that, you can't make any mistakes. If you do, you might as well say GG. Okay, fine, you can make small mistakes, like this one right here. I've damaged all of my windows here, but that doesn't actually affect the performance of my car, so I'm good. But like I've said before, if you make any big mistake, say GG. In other words, don't make mistakes and you'll be able to win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 55, the 7th freestyle stage. I had to use the exploit from the stage 23 again. All because I didn't want to make the same mistake again. Which mistake am I talking about? I'm talking about the mistake I've made before stage 7. Do you remember when I bought that italic from the P2 tier? Yeah, I overpaid for it. It looks like I actually need to save money now. Even though I can easily buy a better car, I've decided to switch between my 2 most used cars at the moment. The Monsoon that I bought, which you're seeing right now, and the boss car from the third duel. I just don't want to overpay anymore, okay? Not only that, all of that money that I'm winning right now is going to be used for something else. What am I going to use it for? You'll see for yourself. Okay, time for the most stupidest crash of the video. No, not that one. I've actually survived that one. It's this one. Here. Look at that. How stupid of me. The reason I'm so disappointed with this crash is simply because this stage is actually easier than the previous two, simply because you don't have to deal with any stupid obstacles. So how did I get damaged here? I honestly have no idea. But hey, I was still able to win, so don't do any stupid mistakes and you'll be able to win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 56, the fourth and final duel. It's also stage 39 but harder. This is supposed to be the hardest duel in the game, but I swear it's actually the easiest. Even though you're in Finland and it's snowing and everything is slippery and other stuff like that. If anything, the hardest duel in the game is actually the first one, believe it or not. Sure, your opponent in this stage uses a car from the B1 tier, aka the best tier in the game, but you can actually cheese it just by buying the best upgrades. Yeah, just buy the best upgrades and the boss will not be able to catch up to you. Unless you make a big mistake, of course. Speaking of mistakes, I've made a mistake. Right here. However, this is a small mistake, and because of that I was still able to win. So yeah, you can complete this stage without taking damage if you're good enough, and you have a car with very good upgrades or the best upgrades, and with no repairs. Since I've won the final duel, I got a new car. It's this one right here. I'm not going to use it now, but I will use it later. Stage 57, a Kenya stage with a track layout you've never raced on before. Yep, you've guessed it. I had to do the tire change exploit to even enter the stage. Besides that, I have nothing interesting to say about this stage. Except for this. I cut too early and the game was going to send me back. I didn't want that, so I've just decided to retry the stage. There's one thing you should know about me. I never make the same mistake twice. Because of that, I was able to win without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 58. Another one of those stages with a unique track layout. This time it's in Finland. And just like last time, I have nothing interesting to say about this stage, other than the fact that I've crashed 2 times in this stage. The first crash is coming right up. Are you ready? Boom. As for the second crash, just watch. Yep, I hit a pole, and then I got stuck, and then my opponent took the lead. And then I was furious, so I had to retry the stage. As it turns out, I've made the right choice, because I didn't make a single mistake on my second attempt. And because of that, I was able to win without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 59, aka Stage 21 but harder. What if I told you that the tire change exploit doesn't always help you? But only if you use the heavily damaged tires. My tires actually popped here and I couldn't move anymore, so I had to retry the stage. But I couldn't just retry the stage. I had to change my tires. I was forced to use the stock tires, the slippery tires if you will. All because I didn't want to buy different tires. But that's fine because I'm the god of Xpand Rally. Too long didn't read. I was able to win without taking damage, with stock tires, or the slippery tires if you will, and with no repairs. Stage 60. Another one of those Finnish stages with a unique track layout. Even though this stage has a unique track layout, I still don't have anything interesting to say here. I can't even give you any tips for this stage, simply because you can't use any shortcuts. Well, maybe except this one, but even that's risky. Risky because the car can get stuck in snow. So if your car gets stuck in snow, say GG. What can I say? Just don't be bad, Lamau. I didn't crash into anything here, so yeah, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 61. A USA Arizona stage with a unique layout. This stage uses the layout of stage 8, but it changes some things to make things more interesting. And that's all you need to know about the track layout of this stage. Anything else you should know about? Yes, look at my opponent and look at my split times. I'm struggling here actually, but that's because I'm using the stock slippery tires on this already pieced up car. Don't worry though, you just need good upgrades and shortcuts to win. So don't make mistakes and you'll be able to win without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 62, one of the hardest stages in the game. Yes, one of the hardest, but not the hardest. That title belongs to stage 9. What makes this stage so difficult? As you can see, you can't see. Yeah. All jokes aside, this stage isn't that bad. You just need to stay cautious because you're in Ireland. You also need to watch out for those stone fences that can destroy you. You can also use shortcuts to your advantage, but if you have good upgrades for your car, you don't really need them. And obviously, just don't be bad, Lamau. But I will say this, and I have to say it, okay? If you're a first timer and you get to this stage, if you don't know what to do, this trick will save your life, or should I say, this pro tip will save your life, so listen carefully. Buy a GPS system for this stage. Trust me, it will save your life here. Okay, but what about my run here? Well, I didn't crash into anything because I was extremely focused. Because like I've said before, this is one of the hardest stages in the game. Did I mention that I'm still using these stock slippery tires for this already pieced up car? I actually crashed into a stone fence because of that. And no, I have no idea how I survived that crash. Actually, wait, I do know how I survived that crash. I'm the god of Xpand Rally. Because of that, I was able to win with taking damage and with no repairs. All mandatory stages are now complete, but the real challenge is about to begin. Time to sell this monsoon. It's not useful anymore. As you can see, I have a lot of money now. You know what that means. Time to upgrade the boss monsoon. I've spent almost all of my money on upgrades, and yet I still wasn't able to buy every single upgrade. I did buy the most important upgrades though, so that's something. Okay, so I've upgraded my car, but as you can see, I've switched to the other boss car, and I've decided to change my tires to the stock tires for this next stage. Why? You'll see in just a second, or maybe even now. Stage 63, aka Stage 5 but harder. Every trick from stage 5 works here as well, so you already know what to do. You can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 64, aka Stage 52 but harder. I didn't have anything interesting to say about stage 52, so maybe I'll have something interesting to say about this stage, huh? Well, actually, no, I don't have anything interesting to say about this stage, other than the fact that I have slightly damaged my rear bumper, but it's not a big deal. Just don't make stupid mistakes and you'll be able to win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 65, aka stage 28 but harder. I've already said everything that needed to be said about this stage when I covered stage 28. So instead, I've decided to show you two interesting things that happened when I was recording this stage. Alright, the first interesting thing. Yeah, I think this speaks for itself. I mean, come on, what was that supposed to be? I couldn't accept that. I had to restart the stage. But look, it's all in the past. Now let me show you the second interesting thing that happened when I was recording. I mean, just look at this. I've missed the checkpoint because I've made this stupid mistake. I had to drive through the checkpoint from the other side just so I can drive through the checkpoint normally. Again, what was that supposed to be? But here's the best part about all of this. Despite the fact that I've made those two incredibly stupid mistakes, I was still able to win, without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 66, aka stage 38 but harder. Harder and less exciting. Why is this stage less exciting than stage 38 despite the fact that it's the same track, just harder? It's the weather. This cloudy weather makes this stage look incredibly boring. Because of that, I don't have anything interesting to say about this stage. You can win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 67, aka stage 1 but harder. I have only one interesting thing to say about this stage. Normally when I play this game I can win every stage without major problems. But here I was struggling for some reason. Just look at those split times. Sure, I'm winning, but I'm barely scraping by the victory. How is that even possible? Granted, I was incredibly tired at this point because I was recording everything in one go, but still. Now get this, even me being tired doesn't stop me from driving perfectly. Yes, I was able to win, without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 68, aka stage 17 but harder. Just use every shortcut this stage has to offer and you'll be able to win without taking damage and with no repairs. As long as you don't crash into anything, of course. Stage 69, haha, funny number. This stage is... it's literally the same stage as the previous one. There is nothing different about this stage other than the fact that it's raining. Yes, I've crashed into a pole and my windows are damaged. Just don't do that mistake and you'll be able to win without taking damage and with no repairs. Oh no, I have to use the exploit for both cars now. Stage 70, aka stage 52 but harder. Again. Do I even need to analyze anything here? No, I don't. You can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 71, aka stage 10 but harder. Finally I get to show something interesting. This right here, I'm using shortcuts and I crashed. into the asphalt somehow. Other than that, I don't have anything interesting to show here. You can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. If you don't make any stupid mistakes, that is. Stage 72, aka stage 58 but harder. Do you see a pattern here? No? Let me show you the pattern. I don't crash in finish stages most of the time, and I crash in almost every other stage. Weird, huh? That's the pattern. And this is a stage set in Finland, so I didn't crash. You can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 73. Hey everybody, look at that! A unique track layout this late in the game. Too bad I don't have anything interesting to say about said layout, other than the fact that I've popped my tires right here and I couldn't drive anymore and I had to retry the stage and I had to change my tires. I was forced to use the stock slippery tires, and the worst part? I was this close to finishing the stage. I mean, look at that. Look at how slippery this car is right now. Actually, it doesn't matter because I was still able to win without taking damage and with no repairs. This next stage requires a front-wheel drive car, so I'm using the only boss car that is actually front-wheel drive. But it's not upgraded because I didn't have to use that car up to this point. You know what that means. Say it with me. Time to upgrade. I didn't buy every single upgrade for this car, but I did buy the most important upgrades for this car, and that's, well, most important. Stage 74, aka Stage 2 but harder. It's the final one-off stage. This is also one of those stages that can be completed in any front-wheel drive car as long as you have upgrades. If you don't have upgrades, say GG. But even if you have upgrades, you're still not safe. This is a harder version of stage 2 after all. A stage with many traps. Thankfully, those traps can be easily avoided. Just like crashes, which means that you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs, if you know what you're doing. Stage 75, aka Stage 53 but harder. It is also the 8th freestyle stage. And that's it. I have nothing interesting to say about this stage, other than the fact that this is the last time we see Finland in this game. Now that I've said this, I've noticed a missed opportunity. When I was covering the previous stage, I should have said that it was the final USA-Arizona stage. Same thing with stage 65. That was the last Irish stage. Oh well, it's not the end of the world. Anyway, you can complete this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. Stage 76, aka Stage 42 but harder. It's also the 9th freestyle stage. Off to a fantastic start. I've crashed 2 times in the beginning and I've had to restart the stage. If you think that was bad, check this out. I'm using a shortcut and I've crashed. I've also crashed right here. Also, why am I using this car when I can get myself a better car for this stage? And for the next stage as well? Because I can. I can also win this stage without taking damage and with no repairs. I just didn't try hard enough here. Stage 77, the final stage in the game. The final stage with a unique layout. And also the 10th freestyle stage. Yep, I'm still using this pieced up RV Wolf because I can. And as you can see, just by looking at this footage right here, I was doing pretty well. Up until this point, I spun out and I tried my best to get back on track. And when I finally got back on track, guess what happens? I lost. I took second place. I was actually punching the wall when it happened. And, well, I had to retry the stage. I couldn't accept that. But I don't make the same mistake twice. I was able to win without taking damage and with no repairs on my second try. And that concludes the Xpand Rally no repairs run. Okay, now we can finally answer the question. Can you 100% Xpand Rally with no repairs? Yes, yes you can. Now that we know the answer, I have to ask you a very important question. Can you do better? Try the challenge and share your experience in the comments down below. Or you can also make a video of you doing the challenge and sharing it with me somehow. Or just do the challenge and then share it somehow. Look, I can't speak anymore, okay? I'm tired. If you do attempt this challenge, please keep in mind that the first half of your game might give you some trouble. Now, before I go, I actually have a very important message. I wanted to thank you so much for being with me through 1000 videos. I would have never uploaded that many videos without your support, so thanks. Thanks a lot. Yes, I know that everyone says the same thing, but I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thanks a lot everyone, you're all awesome. And now, after 3 or 4 months of hard work, I'm finally done with this long video. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll take a break. A long break. Oh yeah, and don't ask me about the Xpand Rally 100% no upgrades run, okay? I'm not doing it. Okay, maybe I will.